Hey everyone, in this epic movie-length video, I will be breaking down the comic Batman the Knight, written by Chip Zdarsky. Zdarsky is currently the writer on the main Batman book, so he is now spearheading the whole Batman universe. And this Batman the Knight book is very important to Batman's overall continuity because it kind of retcons some of Batman's origin stuff, and it now tells us the definitive story of Batman's training years. So this story will cover the Bruce Wayne teenage years up into Batman Year One. So we will see all of the many experts that Batman has trained under. Now, we have seen this adapted before in Batman comics. There was a 1989 comic called The Man Who Falls, and that one was written by Dennis O'Neil, and that was the first sort of glimpse we had of Batman's training years. Then we saw this adapted again in the 2005 movie Batman Begins by Christopher Nolan. But Batman the Knight changes up some of that, and it is now the in-canon, in-continuity version of those years of Batman's life. So that is very interesting. We're gonna have some Ra's al Ghul in here, some Henri Ducard, some Master Kirigi in North Korea, who's like this deadly ninja guy and teaches Batman how to fight. That's all fantastic stuff. We also have, maybe a little controversially, there's this new character called Ghostmaker, aka Minkoa Khan, and he was introduced in Batman comics a few years ago, and he was supposedly with Bruce Wayne as he was going through some of that training. So we will see some of his origin in here as well. So I think this book is very important because it is now the essential canon for Batman's training years, and there is lots of interesting stuff to explore in there. Now, because we are retconning some origin stuff, some people may not like aspects of it, but still, I think it is a very fun ride. And there is a lot here that is really fleshed out and expanded upon, which is great. So let's dive into it now. Batman the Knight. Batman the Knight, written by Chip Zdarsky, art by Carmine Giandomenico. Issue 1, The Story of Batman begins. This opening issue covers Bruce Wayne's teenage years, as well as his first interaction with Hugo Strange. We see Bruce Wayne in school. A bully named Mitch Shannon is picking on someone, so Bruce fights the bully, Mitch, and beats him up. A teacher then comes by and breaks up the fight between Bruce and this other boy. Mitch says to the teacher, "Orphan boy sucker punched me. He lost his mind." The teacher asks Bruce what happened here, and Bruce answers, "I saw them hurting Sydney and I stopped it." So we see, even as a little boy, Bruce had to step in and right wrongs. Alfred picked up Bruce from school that day, and when they returned home, he emptied the library and told Bruce, "I am tired, Master Bruce. Tired of the phone calls, tired of the fighting. You are the only son of Thomas and Martha Wayne. They had an appetite for knowledge. The problems they saw? They brought in books for their solutions. But you seem intent on simply using your fists. So, we will refill this library book by book, you and I. You'll learn solutions that aren't simply torn knuckles. And we will begin making your parents proud." As the months and years passed, Bruce, he did use that library, and he read books, and he learned things. He read about Taekwondo, and things like botany. And Bruce, with that botany knowledge, exacted some vengeance on that bully Mitch Shannon. Bruce, he would grind up some poison ivy and put it on Mitch's towel in gym class, and then Mitch would get sick and have to go home. And Bruce, he would do things like this all the time to this Mitch. He would torment him, and eventually, Mitch's parents pulled Mitch out of school. Years passed. Bruce was now nearing the end of high school. We see Bruce talking to a friend of his named Dana Dunlop. They are lying on the roof of a car, and they are talking about their future. Both of them come from wealthy families. Dana asks Bruce if he applied to university. Bruce says that he has. He's going to go to Gotham University. Dana is as well. Her mom basically owns that school.
Dana asks Bruce, though, "You can go to any university in the world. Why not Yale or Metropolis instead?" Bruce answered, "Because Gotham is my home, and I want to help it." Bruce tells Dana his plans of becoming a cop. He says that he wants to fight crime. He's going to take criminology. Dana can't believe that Bruce is serious right now. She tells him no police force in the world would have one of the world's richest men walking the streets with a gun. Bruce says he wouldn't even carry a gun. And Dana retorts, "And there's another reason. You're too used to doing whatever you want. You're incredibly smart with unlimited resources. You've taken enough extra courses in your spare time in your mansion to have several degrees already. And you want to be a cop with all of that? Bruce, I love you, but I see it. It's always there, that damned darkness inside of you. Your parents were killed and you don't want justice, you want vengeance. And the world, it doesn't need another angry cop. Think bigger." Bruce, now older in Gotham University, is there along with Dana Dunlop. And one day Bruce was doing gymnastics and he was quite fit. But he still doesn't know where he should focus himself and plan for his future. Dana finds Bruce that day and asks him, "Isn't your chem exam this afternoon?" Bruce tells her he's not going. Instead, he's going to go do some research in the library and read about some ribosome inactivating proteins instead. Dana tells Bruce that he will fail his class though if he doesn't go to the exam, and Bruce tells her, "I really won't. Not with the money I give to the school. I'm here to learn, not to prove to people that I've learned. Doing tests and exams just slows me down." Dana is really concerned about Bruce and begs him to go see a psychiatrist that she is seeing and recommends. Later on, you see Bruce is competing in an underground fighting ring, and Bruce, in the fight, takes some bad hits. One punch in the face knocks Bruce down and draws blood. Bruce, he gets back up though, and he fights his opponent and flips the opponent on his back and wins the match. That is when the cops come and crack down on this illegal underground fighting ring, and Bruce, he gets arrested that night. Alfred eventually came to bail Bruce out of jail. On the car ride home, Bruce tells Alfred, "I was training beyond just the boxing classes you set up for me. No matter what, the instructors always treat me with kid gloves. I needed to..." Alfred interrupts Bruce and starts tearing up. He tells Bruce, I failed you." Bruce, surprised, asks, "Failed? Alfred, you've given me everything." Alfred says that he let Bruce become a spoiled brat. He tells Bruce that he loves him, but fighting in some underground gambling ring, to what end? To become a hard man? To simulate war when others have fought them so you wouldn't have to? The men you were fighting, why were they there? Because it's all they have. A chance to make rent money, provided their hospital expenses don't cancel out their winnings. They're scared men with nothing, doing things most people wouldn't imagine. Like the man who shot your parents for $150 in scattered pearls? You've been given everything, Master Bruce. Prove that you deserve it. On the recommendation of Dana Dunlop, Bruce eventually decided to see that psychiatrist that she recommended, and that psychiatrist happens to be Hugo Strange, who will eventually become a future Batman villain. Hugo and Bruce have had a few sessions. Hugo, he tries to analyze Bruce and what his parents' death at such a young age has done to him psychologically. Hugo tells Bruce that Bruce is wrapped in sadness and letting it envelop him. Bruce says that he stopped being sad years ago. Hugo asks about the bruises on Bruce's hands, but when Bruce doesn't answer, Hugo says that he thinks he knows how Bruce hurt his hands. It's Bruce's anger, not sadness, and Bruce is letting it out secretly. Hugo comments that Bruce came to him to curb the anger in himself. Bruce says no, he wants to curb the nightmares that he has. Hugo says in order to do that, they need to find the source of his nightmares. Hugo suggests a round of hypnotherapy on Bruce. Bruce is hesitant about doing that though, about doing hypnosis. Hugo says how much the hypnotherapy has helped Bruce's friend, Miss Dunlop. Hugo and Bruce then talk about anger. Bruce says that he is okay being angry because he can use it. Hugo argues, but you need to understand it to use it, yes? Who are you angry at, Bruce? The man who shot your parents more than 10 years ago? I doubt his life got better after that. Are you angry with your parents for leaving you? They had no choice. Bruce answers that he's angry at the world. He's angry that we let people suffer, that we let bad men just do what they want. Hugo pushes Bruce on doing the hypnotherapy once again. Bruce's friend, Dana Dunlop, who is also seeing Hugo strange, well, Dana comes from a wealthy family, but her family's wealth is starting to not be what it once was. So Bruce did some investigating into the finances of Dana's family, as well as into Hugo Strange. And Bruce tells Hugo, "Your hypnotherapy, it's interesting, Doctor. I've been doing some reading on the matter, and it appears your version of the practice bears little in common with the standard practices. It seems it's more akin to stage hypnosis. I'm angry, Hugo, it's true. Dana recommended you to me, and I admit I was curious, but mostly because she seemed off, tired. I thought it was the stress of her dwindling finances, but when I looked into it, I realized it was fatigue from hypnosis, both direct and covert, and her dwindling finances were dwindling into an offshore account that you own." Bruce, he looks out the window of Hugo's office, and some police officers arrive. Bruce, he called the cops and told them all about Hugo's scamming. Hugo tells Bruce, "That's quite a delusion you're under. We can work on that, of course." Bruce replies, "Oh, I'm sure. Some other time, perhaps." Hugo, now hearing the police sirens himself, asks, "I assume those are the police I hear? And where do you think you're going, Bruce?" Bruce, he is getting ready to leave the office, and he answers Hugo Strange, "I'm going away, Doctor, to think bigger." And issue 1 ends with Bruce now deciding a path for his life. He wants to think bigger, be more than just a cop, do more than just study criminology at Gotham University. He wants to become a crime fighter, sure, but he wants to be able to become the best crime fighter ever, to handle anyone or anything that can come his way. And in order to do that, he needs to become the best at everything. And in order to be the best at everything, he needs to train the best. And Bruce, with his resources, is going to be able to do it. So, he now sets out, and will now train with the greatest masters in the world. Issue 2, Summer Nights in Paris. We are now in France, and we meet Lucie Chesson, aka the Grey Shadow, where Bruce will learn how to become a master thief. Bruce, he left Gotham and headed for France. It has been 4 weeks since last issue, and Bruce, he is probably around 19 or 20 years old or so roughly at this point. Bruce, through narration, tells us that he studied with the best fencer in the world for the last 2 weeks, and then he defeated that fencer, so now he is moving on. After Bruce mastered fencing in 2 weeks, he was deciding what to do next. Bruce wondered, how do you find the best in the world when most times they don't want to be found? The guy with the website saying that he's the best in the world usually isn't. Bruce is not sure what his next move should be, but he's in Paris, so he decides to run on the rooftops at night. And as Bruce is running on the rooftops, he spots a thief robbing a safe in a Paris apartment. The thief is a woman named Lucie Chesson, aka the Grey Shadow, an infamous French burglar. Bruce tries to stop the woman, but Bruce, in his mediocre French, tells her, "You're under arrest." Lucie, she throws some throwing knives and outmaneuvers Bruce easily. She tells him, "Thank you for this, young man, you truly made my night." And then she escapes out the window and disappears into the night. and Bruce wonders how she did that. Bruce, he was a little bit embarrassed about how bad he got schooled, so he spent the rest of the night practicing. And the next day, as Bruce is drinking coffee at a local sidewalk cafe there in Paris, Lucie Chesson, the Gray Shadow, decides to introduce herself to Bruce. She tells him, "Did I shame you? Did you really spend the rest of your night practicing? That's adorable." Bruce warns her, "I don't make the same mistakes twice. You're coming with me, Gray Shadow." Lucie tells Bruce that he has nothing on her. If he tells the police to search her apartment, they will find nothing because she is not an amateur. Bruce tries to record this conversation on his cell phone to use as evidence, but Lucie has already snatched Bruce's phone away from him, as she anticipated he would try and do this. Lucie asks if Bruce is a young American vigilante setting out to deliver justice to the world. She then asks, "That's it, isn't it? You're going to catch the foundling, that dastardly murderer ravaging Paris right now. He's in all the papers. Perhaps he will be your first suspect?" The foundling is a killer murdering across Paris. He will become very important next issue. Bruce, he answers Lucie saying, "I'm not a vigilante, only because I'm not ready." Lucie then notices the books that Bruce is reading, stuff like The Chemistry of Explosives. She says, "I see, so jumping from rooftops into these books, these will make you ready?" Bruce answers, "No, it will take more, until he can stop people like her." Lucie smiles. She says, "You know I only steal from the rich to give to the poor." Bruce says, "You don't give all of it." Bruce then, with his keen perception skills, tells her that jacket is a Bellevue $2,000. The glasses are Ferris Rays $1,500. You're no saint. Lucie quips back, "Who is?" Lucie tells Bruce, "You are a fascinating, beautiful young man with a fire that could heat a city. If you want to learn how to stop me, I'll gladly show you. Meet me at 10 o'clock tonight. I'll text you. I have your number after all." Elsewhere in Paris, we see a detective named Henri Ducard. Henri is an expert manhunter. He finds people. Henri is following a string of vicious crimes across Paris. Right now, he is investigating a brutal murder connected with this foundling serial killer. We jump away from Henri Ducard for now, though, and we jump back to Bruce and Lucie atop a rooftop high in the city that night. Bruce attempts to sneak up on Lucie, but she hears him approach. Lucie tells Bruce, "If you want to catch thieves, you must become one." Bruce asks, why is she helping him? And she answers, "If you end up as good as I suspect you will be, perhaps you will capture all of my competition." We then have a quick montage of Bruce and Lucie jumping rooftops, and Lucie teaching Bruce how to pick a safe and dodge lasers and various other ways in the art of thieving. The two of them have dinner one night at Lucie's apartment. They drink wine and Bruce cooked food. Lucie is older than Bruce, and there's perhaps some romantic chemistry between them. Nobody acts on anything yet, though. Lucie tells Bruce it is now time for a little real-world application of what she has been teaching him. They break into a place called the Chateau Marchand, home of a rich businessman named Hubert Glonet, who we will soon learn is actually the killer, the foundling, that has been making his way across Paris. Bruce and Lucie sneak into this complex and avoid its security. They climb in through a window on the second floor, and they remove a painting on a wall, and a safe is on the other side. Bruce picks the lock on the safe successfully, and inside is a jewelry box worth $4 million. Bruce grabs it. All of a sudden, though, some police cars arrive outside of the chateau in the parking lot. How did the police get here? Did Bruce or Lucie accidentally trip a silent alarm or something? Either way, Bruce and Lucie need to get out of there. The two of them sneak through the chateau complex. They jump out the window. They try and get off the property, but the French police spot Bruce. Bruce worries. He imagines, is this it for him? Travel halfway across the world just to get arrested as a thief in Paris? Alfred would lose it. Bruce, he tries to run, and he gets shot in the leg from the police officer, and he goes down. The cop is closing in on Bruce, but Lucie comes back and luckily saves him. She throws a knife at the cop and picks up Bruce and helps him get away. When they get back to Lucie's apartment, they are both stripped down to their underwear. I'm assuming there was blood on their clothes, or maybe it's just a sexual thing, I don't know. Lucie, she is patching up Bruce's bullet wound. After they exchange some words, Bruce kisses Lucie. And Lucie, she pulls back though, and Bruce apologizes. Lucie smiles though and says, "It's alright, mon bijou, you are a sparkling gem of a boy, but alas, a little too young for the likes of me. I'll go fetch you some clothes, yes?" Lucie goes into the other room to find Bruce some clothes to change into, and Lucie says to herself, "Stupid boy, if only I could steal years." Lucie, she then gets grabbed from behind by Henri Ducard. Bruce, he does not suspect anything yet. He is investigating this jewelry box that they stole. Bruce thinks to himself, I know I should be mad at Lucie for what she does, but I'm not. It's wrong, but whatever I end up doing, wherever this road takes me, cat burglars of the wealthy will be low on my list of people to go after. This is of course a future tease of how Batman will often let Catwoman's crimes go in the coming years. Bruce, after investigating the jewelry box they stole, finds a false bottom in it, and inside that false bottom are some teeth from the killed victims of this foundling. Henri Ducard enters the room. He is holding Lucie hostage, and he is pointing the gun at Bruce. Henri tells Bruce, "No sudden moves, Bruce Wayne. You and your friend here are in a world of trouble." Issue 3. We are still in France, and in this issue, Bruce will learn from Henri Ducard. He will learn the art of being a detective. Over at the Chateau Marchand, home of rich businessman and CEO of Sunrise Oil named Hubert Cloney, the police are investigating the robbery in his home by Bruce and Lucie. The police think it is just an ordinary robbery. The investigator tells Hubert that the thieves made away with a jewelry box in his safe. Hubert is concerned because he is actually this serial killer known as the Foundling, and he collects the teeth from his victims as trophies, and he kept them in that jewelry box in his safe. So now Hubert is worried that he may be revealed as this killer by this theft. Over to Lucie Chesson's apartment. Henri Ducard is holding Lucie and questioning Bruce Wayne. Henri reveals that he is a detective. His specialty is finding people. He was hired by Bruce Wayne's butler, Alfred Pennyworth, to find Bruce. Bruce asks Henri, "My butler, he didn't tell you to bring me home, did he?" Henri admits it's true. He was only hired to find Bruce, not retrieve him. Bruce says, "Well, you found me." Henri, he lowers his gun and tells Bruce that they are going to make a phone call to Alfred before he lets Bruce go. This is when Henri spots the jewelry box and the teeth. Henri asks, where do they get these teeth? Bruce and Lucie admit that they stole it from Hubert Cloney's home. Henri tells them that the serial killer in the news, the Foundling, Cloney, was identified as a possible target, but the killer keeps teeth as mementos. Therefore, if you found teeth in his home in his safe, well, that means Hubert is actually the killer. And Bruce and Lucie inadvertently proved it to Henri Ducard. back to Hubert Glonet's home. Hubert tells the officers that he will stay at another home he has in the city tonight. The officers, though, assign a police officer to follow Hubert back to this other apartment he has in the city, as there is a serial killer out there and this is a safety precaution. Hubert does not like this. He does not want a police tale tonight. But the investigator in charge is not taking no for an answer. So Hubert, he begins driving to this other apartment he has, and the cop assigned to escort him is trailing him in another car. Hubert starts speeding and driving erratically. The cop flips on his siren and pulls Hubert over. Hubert, he then puts on these little metal sharp claw things on his fingertips. And when that cop comes over to Hubert's car door and asks him what the problem is, Hubert slashes at the cop's throat and kills him. And Hubert then drives on as he has plans for this night. Henri, Lucie, and Bruce drive across town to Henri Ducard's office. Henri, he was working 2 jobs at the moment. One job was finding Bruce Wayne, which was much easier, and the second job was trying to figure out who this foundling serial killer was. Henri, he had this whole investigation wall on his office, with various details of the foundling case, as well as many file folders filled with his investigations into various suspects and victims. Henri explains his investigations a bit in The Foundling. He says, "The police had deduced that the foundling was targeting the families of well-off men in their late 30s. I tied it all together for them with the fact that most of the victims attended the same private school, the Vanier Academy. The fools treated the possible victim list as just that, instead of as possible suspects. I had Glonet clocked as a possibility. The killer was orphaning children, and Glonet's family died when he was young." Bruce tells Henri that he should phone the police then and tell them what he's discovered now. Henri is concerned, though, that since Bruce and Lucie stole this teeth, this treasure chest of Hubert's, Hubert is probably going to disappear now, he says. It's too hot for him. He'll leave town and lie low for a while, but he doesn't want the public to know that he's scared, so there's probably going to be another killing before he flees. A big one. Henri decides that best to maybe lay a trap for now. They should try and sell this jewelry box that they stole, and maybe Hubert Glonet will try and buy it with his sources in the underworld. Because maybe Hubert will think he can buy the box before someone discovers the false bottom and the teeth. So they put this plan into action, and eventually Hubert bites. And at a local diner, Henri has set up a meeting between Lucie the thief and someone that wanted to buy Hubert's jewelry box that most likely is actually working for Hubert. The plan is that Lucie will sell the box to the buyer, and then Henri and Bruce will trail the buyer back to Hubert, and then they can arrest him. Hopefully, anyway. Henri, he did not really want Bruce here for this plan, but Bruce insisted. At the diner, Lucie sits down with the buyer. Bruce and Henri are sitting at another table, pretending that they are just regular customers there. Henri tells Bruce to not look around so much. He looks very suspicious. He might spook the buyer. Bruce asks Henri, "Why are we doing this here? Wouldn't it be easier in an alley or somewhere else?" Henri explains, "I let the buyer pick the neighborhood, and then I pick the spot because I have a spot in every neighborhood that I know inside out. It's like a magician making you think you have a choice in the card you pick." Bruce comments, "Nothing left to chance, eh?" Henri answers, "There's always a chance, but you should do everything you can to put the odds in your favor." What Henri is saying to Bruce here shows us glimpses of how Batman in the future will always plan everything ahead, and also how Batman will have various sources all across the streets of Gotham City. The buyer, he gets spooked, though, by Bruce eyeing him, The buyer then pulls out a gun and asks Lucie, "Who the hell is this? I thought you were on the up and up, Lucie." Bruce tries to save Lucie and tackle the buyer with the gun. The buyer fires, and Henri Ducard gets hit in the chest. The buyer then runs away. Henri tells Bruce and Lucie to get out of here before the cops arrive. Bruce and Lucie, they leave and go back to Lucie's apartment. Bruce is worried that Henri might die because of him, because of his mistake. But Lucie tells Bruce that she has people in the hospital giving her updates and Henri is going to be okay. Bruce decides to pore over Henri's files on this foundling killer. Bruce figures who the next victim will most likely be. It is a classmate of Hubert's from school named Claude Laurent. Claude was also an orphan at the school, but he excelled and was happy, unlike Hubert. Hubert wanted the world to feel his pain, so he took families away with his knives, reproducing himself an orphan over and over again. The reason that Hubert hated this Claude guy so much is that this Claude lived in his head and set his brain on fire because he was somehow this happy orphan, something Hubert was not able to be. Bruce, he starts rushing across Paris to get to this Claude's home. Bruce has successfully followed some advice that Henri imparted onto him, that you need to get in the bad guy's head and just pray you can get out again. This is a skill we will see Batman doing from time to time in the future, getting into various villains' heads, figuring out how they think, what their motivations and plans are. But one struggle for Batman is not letting that darkness of getting into these villains' heads and not being able to get out again. Bruce arrives at this Claude's home. He finds Claude's daughter cowering on the floor. Bruce tells her he is here to help her. Hubert is sneaking up behind Bruce and slashes at him with his metal claws. Bruce dodges. The two of them fight. Hubert kicks Bruce across the room. Bruce sees the dead body of Claude. He is too late to save him. Bruce gets angry. Bruce, he kicks at Hubert and makes Hubert trip and fall on the floor. Bruce then starts beating on Hubert. Bruce's anger and thirst for vengeance starts getting the better of him. He is beating on Hubert and he is saying, "These children, you've ruined their lives, their futures." Bruce, he's remembering his own life and Joe Chill, the man that killed his parents and made him an orphan. This Hubert Glonet is doing the same, making orphans. So this is especially personal to Bruce. Lucie finally arrives and pulls Bruce away. She is a little terrified at how angry Bruce got and how violent he became here. In the aftermath of these harrowing events, Bruce finally phones Alfred. He leaves a message on the answering machine for Alfred. He tells him, I'm sorry for not telling you, for just leaving. You've done so much for me, mother and father. They set me on a path, but you raised me. I should never have done that to you. The man you hired, Henri Ducard, he found me, but I'm not coming home just yet. I need to figure things out. You've taken care of me all these years, and now I need to take care of myself. This isn't forever. I love you, Alfred. Bruce, he later on says goodbye to Lucie. He tells her that he is going to visit Henri in the hospital, and he's going to see if Henri needs an assistant until he is able to get back up on his feet again. Lucie asks, and maybe he'll teach you in return, yeah? For your grand plan? As Bruce gets ready to leave, Lucie gives Bruce a warning. She tells him, what I do requires being cool and calm. It's the opposite of what I saw you doing to Hubert. There's such violence in you, Bruce. You must learn to control that. Bruce tells her, I know. Lucie kisses Bruce's cheek and tells him, so long, my little knight. I hope you find what you are looking for. Back at Wayne Manor, Alfred listens to Bruce's voicemail. He is tearing up a little bit. He is saddened and he is worried for Bruce and loves him and wants him to be okay. Issue 4, The Art of Death. This issue takes place in the Paektutu Mountains in North Korea. Bruce will learn the art of death and combat from a master Kirigi. Bruce, he ended up staying with Henri Ducard in Paris for 3 months, learning the art of being a detective and manhunter. And once he learned everything he needed to, Bruce traveled on. And Henri Ducard helped point Bruce into other experts he should try and meet. Bruce has been searching for this next expert ever since he left Paris. He's been searching and traveling for 2 months, but he finally found his way to the Paektutu Mountains in North Korea. There, Bruce is to train under Master Takibi Kirigi. Master Kirigi is a Japanese master of martial arts and ninjutsu. He fled his home in Japan when a student of his killed Japan's Minister of Justice. There was also many other crimes that were linked to students of his. The authorities in Japan blamed Master Kirigi, so he fled and came here to North Korea. Bruce, he climbed the mountain, and when he reached the summit, it is covered in snow, and we see what appears to be a monk guarding a temple. The monk is actually a student of Master Kirigi. Bruce speaks Korean to the man and he says, "Hello, I've traveled far to meet with the master." The student punches Bruce in the chest, causing Bruce to collapse in pain. That student then leaves. Bruce, he stayed there though, and then he got up and walked over and there was another student now. Bruce told the new student, "All right, let's do this." Bruce prepares to fight, but the new student destroys Bruce, blocks his punch, and returns with a quick punch and kick of his own, sending Bruce beaten back. Bruce, over the next few days, tried a few more times to walk and enter this temple, but he kept getting beaten back by the temple's various students. After many failed attempts and a few days, Bruce, he tried to enter the temple once more. He is bloodied, and he tells the student there, "Come on, I'm not going anywhere." They finally decide to let Bruce in. Bruce is allowed into the temple, and he is brought in front of this Master Kirigi. Bruce, speaking Korean, says, Master Kirigi, I've traveled far to train under you. I wish to save others, to fight injustice." Master Kirigi tells Bruce to stop. He says none of that matters. There is one focus here and only one. The work. The beauty of the work. You will be shown your room and given your list of duties. Training starts tomorrow. As Bruce is walking around, working in Master Kirigi's temple the next day, Bruce, he meets another student there. They exchange fake names. The student says his name is Anton, but this student is actually named Minkoa Khan. Now I want to explain a little bit about this Koa Khan character, as he will one day become a future Batman villain named Ghostmaker. Now some of you may not be familiar with Ghostmaker, as he is not as popular as Riddler or Joker or whoever. The Ghostmaker is a relatively new Batman villain, and Koa Khan, aka Ghostmaker, first appeared in a 2020 storyline written by James Tynion IV in Batman Comics. So this Koa Khan was the son of a wealthy Singaporean business owner in the exports industry. When he was 8 years old, a psychologist diagnosed him as a psychopath, as he was unable to feel empathy or fear. His family was physically threatened until they ended up selling their company to the uber-wealthy Midas crime family. Koa Khan then determined to destroy this Midas crime family and make them feel worthless, set off to become a crime fighter and get revenge. Koa Khan has been traveling around the world, studying experts in various fields. Much the same way Bruce has been traveling the world too. They each want to be the best, although their motivations are a little bit different. Khan sees vigilantism as an art, and he wants to be the best artist at it, whereas Bruce, motivated by his parents' killing when he is younger, sees it as more of a sense of duty. So that is who Koa Khan, aka Ghostmaker, is, and this is where they first met. Bruce and Khan talk as they do work around the temple for this Master Kirigi. They are still both using fake names at this point. They share a little bit of their history though. They each explain how they found themselves to be here. Khan says, "Myself, I was in a street fight with a man named the Jade Brawler in Singapore. When I lost, he took pity and told me about his old master, Takibi Kirigi. I swore that was the last time someone would ever take pity on me. I hid on board a freighter traveling through the South China Sea to get here." Bruce explains why he is here and his motivations. He says, "I just spent the last 3 months being mentored by a detective, a manhunter named Henri Ducard. He's spent a lifetime acquiring names, specifically of those who are the best in the world at what they do, in case he needed them, or needed to take them in. And now I've got that list to learn from." Khan asks Bruce, "So it's not just fighting for you, is it? You want to be the best at everything. You're like me, aren't you? Learning what you need to in order to become what exactly, though? The world's greatest crime fighter or crime perpetrator?" Bruce explains he wants to be a crime fighter. Khan answers that he feels the same. The two say it is good they met each other, and in a way, this is the beginning of their friendship. The training under Master Kirigi is hard. Fighting, learning all sorts of fighting styles with all sorts of weapons, making their bodies a weapon itself, becoming an undetectable ninja, mastering the shadows. Bruce, he ended up staying up there on the Pekutu Mountains for a year at this point, along with his new friend, Koa Khan. The two of them trained hard. One day, though, something strange happened. 5 new students arrived, and Master Kirigi invited them right in and told them that their training will begin at dawn. Bruce and Khan were shocked. These 5 students just walked right in, but Bruce and Khan had to get their asses handed to them for days before they were allowed into the temple. What gives? Bruce became very suspicious. He really didn't trust these new students, and he questioned Master Kirigi's judgment. The next day, Bruce was paired up with one of these new students. In their sparring match, Bruce was winning at first, but the student was overly aggressive, not following the rules of their sparring, and the new student almost killed Bruce. Master Kirigi broke up the fight, though, and he sent Bruce and the new student to their quarters. Later that night, Bruce and Khan discussed these new recruits. Bruce really suspects something is up. Khan says he isn't concerned. He says, "Who cares? We're here for one reason, and that's to learn, which is what we're doing. Master Kirigi could be harvesting their organs for all I care." Bruce asks, "But why are you doing all of this then? You said you wanted to be the best so you could stop crime." Khan, explaining his motivation, says, "I'm doing this because stopping crime is harder than committing crime. It's a more interesting, artful goal." So we see Khan's motivations are not really altruistic. It is more so a selfish goal of proving he is the best. The next day, Master Kirigi tells all of his students, "Today, we will be skipping ahead somewhat to the Chinese technique known as Dannymalt, or, more specifically, the lost and forbidden move of Dannymalt, the lethal vibrating palm technique. The strike, when applied perfectly, activates several pressure points, causing cardiac arrest. First, we must focus our own chi. Remember our meditation practice from 2 weeks ago?" Later that day, Bruce, he is kind of outraged and he decides to leave school. Khan can't believe it though. Why would Bruce leave? Bruce explains that Master Kirigi was driven from Japan because his students committed murder, and here he is, teaching students a method only used for killing. There's nothing more he can teach me without giving up a piece of my soul. Khan asks Bruce, "Take me with you. Take me to your list of mentors. Well, let's leave here together." Bruce tells Khan he's sorry. The next part of his path he needs to do alone. Bruce thinks to himself, "I can't afford distractions, even the distractions of friendship." As Bruce begins to leave the temple that night, Master Kirigi stops and confronts Bruce. Kirigi says, "Bruce Wayne, you may very well be my best student, Mr. Wayne. See this through and you will be unstoppable." Bruce, he never revealed his name to Master Kirigi or anyone here, but clearly Master Kirigi has figured out who he is. Bruce, before he can even consider coming back, he needs to know about these new students. He asks Master Kirigi who they are. Kirigi answers, "They are the price I pay to teach without worry. They are assassins in training, sent to me by a benefactor. I shepherd them and I am left alone to do what I do best." Bruce, angry, says, "But they will kill people. How can you let that happen?" Kirigi answers, "I am not here to judge anything but the techniques. This is my art. You will leave here better from my knowledge. What you do with that is up to you." Bruce, he thinks on it and answers, Maybe what I'll do with it is stop you." Kirigi doesn't answer. Bruce, he continues on with his decision to leave here, and Bruce, he begins walking, and he starts descending down the mountain. As Bruce is leaving, he gets ambushed by those 5 new students. They attack Bruce, and they taunt him, saying, "A little birdie told us you were leaving without saying goodbye." Bruce, he tries to fight the 5 of them off, using the various techniques he learned: the ox push kick, the new kite strike of sorrow, the serpent windstorm, etc. Bruce, he may not be able to win this fight though, as he is severely outnumbered. As Bruce is fighting them though, his new friend Koa Khan arrives to help. The 2 of them, they fight together in unison, almost like an orchestra. They are in sync. Bruce, he thinks to himself, maybe I am wrong. Maybe I don't have to be alone. Bruce and Khan together beat these 5 attackers back. Finally, once Bruce and Khan are victorious, Khan tells Bruce, "Well, after that I guess I can't go back. I think you're stuck with me." Bruce replies, "I think I'm okay with that." The 2 of them shake hands, and Bruce tells Khan, Kirigi may come after us for this, or worse, his assassin benefactor might. Bruce and Khan, they then both together leave the Pikutu Mountains and Master Kirigi, and they begin heading to the next expert they will both train under. Issue 5, Bruce Wayne Undercover. This issue is in Russia, where Bruce will learn from Avery Oblonsky the art of disguise and espionage. Bruce and Koa Khan have traveled to Russia to be trained by an ex-KGB spy, Avery Oblonsky. Bruce found out about her from Henri Ducard. While in Russia in search of this Avery Oblonsky, both Bruce and Khan found themselves taken in and held captive in a Russian prison. They have been in this prison for 13 days. They are trying not to break despite the beatings and interrogations. So far, both Bruce and Khan's resolve is high. They are questioned by Alexei Yohantov, department chief in the FSB. Alexei asks who they are and who they work for. Bruce does not talk, though. He just keeps repeating, he is a tourist, that is all. Alexei eventually reveals to Bruce that they know that he is Bruce Wayne. They found his image in news stories. They ask Bruce about his caretaker, Alfred. Bruce is worried that the Russians might harm Alfred, but he still sticks to his story, saying, I am a tourist. I don't know who you are talking about. That night, Bruce and Khan's prison cell door is opened. The 2 of them sneak out of the cell. They avoid Russian agents, and they head to the roof of the prison. and on the roof they find Alexei Yohantov waiting for them. Alexei comments, "Haha, the two of you are quite something. I should have known Ducard wouldn't send me the week. You'll have to forgive me, I needed to determine if you could be trusted with secrets. Now let's go, yes? No sense hanging around." Alexei removes a facemaker mask Alexei was wearing, revealing that he is actually a she. He is actually Miss Avery Oblonsky, the woman that Bruce and Khan came to Russia to meet. Avery wanted to make sure that Bruce and Khan could withstand interrogation and would keep things secret. Avery takes Bruce and Khan back to her apartment. There, she reveals that she is a master of disguise and she lives several lives when it suits her. Avery explains that Ducard told her a young American might be coming to seek her out for training. She's referring to Bruce. But Ducard did not mention a friend. Bruce introduces Avery to his friend and explains that he wants to learn the ways of espionage as well. Learn from the best. Avery, she's willing to take both of them on. She leads them both to a place she calls her cave. Avery explains, anyone who has a double life, multiple lives, whatever you'd like to call it, needs a space for their reality, a place to do the work, to be yourself while you attempt to become others. This is of course a huge foreshadowing to the future Batcave that Bruce will create. Avery shows them her cave and her masks and various other things there. Avery, she then takes them both out to a nightclub where they will learn to fit in and become a smooth talker. Khan, he fits in very easily. It comes natural to him, seducing others. Bruce is clumsy though, awkward. He wasn't very worldly, even though he traveled the world. Bruce, he could emulate criminals well, but Avery wanted Bruce to be the suave playboy, something which didn't come naturally to him. Playing the part of the suave playboy is something that Bruce would master in the future. But at this point in time, Bruce was not good at it, and he suspected maybe it was because he was rebelling against what he was supposed to be back home in another life, the rich young man without a care in the world. After those lessons, the next day, Avery took them to a police headquarters. She explained she had a challenge for the both of them. She says, "So, here's today's challenge, young ones. Behind you is a police station. A lawyer just to the left. That lawyer is representing a Jonathan Bellows and a Sam Delios, two teenagers from Metropolis who were picked up with 4 grams of marijuana. I want you to get them out without using violence." Bruce and Khan, they talk to the 2 officers inside the police headquarters, and they try to convince them to let these 2 Metropolis teenagers go. Bruce, he says to the cops, "Our friends meant no harm. We were at a club and I think someone planted the drugs on them. If you let them go, I promise we'll all fly back to America immediately." The cops laugh at Bruce and harshly deny him. But Koa Khan tries now. He ends up bribing the cops to let the 2 teenagers go, and the cops decide to do it. And once Bruce and Khan return to Avery, she congratulates them for succeeding. Khan explains he bribed the cops and says, "Locals always make sure to have extra rubles on them for a police tax, in case they get pulled over. The salary of a police officer in Moscow isn't a lot, and the officer had a very nice watch on." Bruce, he thinks what Khan did was not fair. Bribing is cheating. But Avery explains, money does solve problems, and you do have a lot of it. Bruce, of course, in the future will not be shy about throwing his money around when he needs to. Their next assignment is at an American embassy, a gala event honoring a cultural exchange program. Hollywood essentially making movies cheaply in Russia. Avery wants them to retrieve something in this embassy. A consular officer was recently sent a book from a disgruntled SVR agent. filled with the locations of international Russian safe houses. Avery wants that book. Bruce and Con are in tuxedos, trying to blend in with the crowd in the embassy, and they are trying to talk their way to the man that has the book. Bruce, he tries some conversation on some guests, but he's not that suave still. Meanwhile, Con is shortly already heading upstairs with their target that has the book. Bruce decides to follow them. Bruce will not be allowed to just waltz up those stairs on his own, though. He needs to create a distraction. Bruce, he surveys the room and he notices a general, and he walks over to that general and trips, but he discreetly touches the back of the general's neck, and he uses a technique that Master Kirigi taught him called tortoise snake touch. Bruce applied the 3 pressure points perfectly, and 10 seconds later, the blood flow briefly stopped reaching this general's brain, and the general temporarily passed out on the floor. And this gave Bruce the distraction time he needed, and he snuck upstairs. When Bruce gets upstairs, he sees Con, who is bisexual, is seducing this Russian guy and manages to lift the book off of him and take it. Bruce's distraction downstairs of making this general collapse has put security in the embassy on high alert. Eventually, some embassy guards notice Bruce and Con, and they want to arrest them. Bruce tells Con to go, he'll hold them off. So Con, he leaves, and Bruce, he fights through some of the guards, and eventually he runs and escapes out the window. It got a little messy in the end, but Bruce and Con successfully finished their mission. When Bruce and Con returned to Avery, Bruce was disappointed as Con one-upped him once again. Con told Bruce, "Hey, I know it may not seem like it, but you don't have to be the best at everything." Avery joins them and asks if they managed to get the book. Con says that he did, but when Con reaches into his pocket, the book is gone, and Bruce reveals he has it. He pickpocketed it from Con. Bruce explains, "I wasn't going to lose again." Bruce smiles, and Avery laughs. She says, "Haha, so you have learned something from me after all. Well, congratulations now. Let's see the book." Bruce, he throws the book in the water. Bruce proved he successfully could do this mission, but he is not going to allow this potentially dangerous information into Avery's hands. Bruce says, "The book endangered people. Now the book is gone, unless you wanted it for some other reason." "So what's next, Miss Oblonsky?" Avery Oblonsky, she accepts that Bruce threw the book in the water. She tells them, "Well, young man, I think you're ready for the masks." Issue 6, Hunter or Hunted. Avery Oblonsky sent Bruce and Con to their next teacher. Bruce and Con traveled to British Columbia, Canada, where they met the Swiss Mark, aka Luka Jungo, the world's greatest marksman. Luka currently lives in the woods, off the grid. After Bruce and Con introduce themselves and explain how they tracked him down, Luka says he is not interested in training them. Really, Luka is against killing now. When Bruce explains that they have come to him to stop killers, but in order to do that, they need to become better than them, Luka likes this reasoning, so he agrees to train them. Months go by of training there. Luka turns Bruce and Con into good marksmen. Con, though he is getting bored after all these months of just shooting targets, he wants to hit something moving, and better yet, he wants to start learning how to shoot with guns. There are some birds flying high above. Con wants to shoot them with his bow and arrow. Luka tells him that he will most likely not be able to hit the bird from all the way down here with a bow and arrow. He says, "You can correct for wind among the trees, but in the open sky, that's a whole nother matter. Winds are wild, unpredictable. As they fly, your arrows fall to their whims." Bruce, though, he decides to try. He shoots an arrow into the sky and he nails a bird. easy. Bruce explains how he did it, that before he met Khan, he traveled and trained with a Mongolian pastoralist. The pastoralist taught him how to read the environment, to feel subtle shifts in the earth, in temperatures, in the changing of the wind. That is how Bruce was able to make that shot. Bruce says dinner's on him tonight, as he brings the duck in for them to eat. At dinner that night, Luka tells them of his history. He explains how he used to kill people for the Swiss FIS, but the Swiss had little direct use for the world's greatest marksman, so instead they rented out his services to other countries in exchange for information. Luka lost track of all the countries he was sent to. He explains, "All I was told was that the men I was disposing of were bad, that the world was better without them. I didn't care, I was good at it, that's all that mattered to me. The distance made it easy, like a game. Shooting a man from 3,000 meters is a different thing than sliding a knife into a belly. I knew that when I left I'd have to disappear completely. The Swiss would not be able to protect me from what I'd done." Bruce asks why did he quit? Luka answers that he was doing a job in Mexico. He had to kill the head of the cartel there, while other snipers took out the subordinates of the head of the cartel. Luka, he took the shot successfully and killed the target, but the target's wife and kid were there too. They weren't supposed to be. Luka, he was forced to kill them too, or else their screams might have alerted others like the cartel's guards, and the other snipers would have had their cover blown. That was the last job Luka did. He says guns, they make it easy, too easy. Luka warns Khan, "I know you want to learn how to shoot with guns, and I will teach you, but you need to promise that you won't use this knowledge on people, that you'll use it so you'll know your enemy and disarm them. Disarm the whole damn world if you can." Both Bruce and Khan swore this to Luka. The next day, Luka started training them with guns. Khan and Bruce were good with them. But Bruce, despite being good at it, he hated it. Every bullet he shot took him back to that night in Crime Alley when Joe Chill murdered his parents. Bruce, he reaffirmed to himself then his vow to never take a life, to never use guns on someone else. After many more weeks of training, one day, Bruce and Khan are hauling back a dead deer to Luka's home. Khan was the one that killed the deer. Luka inspects their kill. He asks which one of them shot the deer. Bruce says it wasn't him. His head just wasn't in it today. Khan, though, brags. He says he is the one that killed the deer. He says, "It was an easy one, totally still. Honestly, I'm starting to itch for something more challenging." Luka is upset, though. He asks, "You shot it in the neck, not the brain, like I taught you. Why?" Khan answers, "What? Why does it matter?" Luka says it matters because it's quick and painless. You didn't even aim for the spine, you just... Khan dismisses this and says, "Look, dead is dead. No offense, Luka, but I think you're going a little soft here in the woods. Now I'm gonna go wash up. Let me know when dinner's ready." Luka points a gun on Khan and he announces, You're a killer. I could smell it on you, but I pushed it out of my head because I didn't want it to be true. You try to cover it, pretend to be like Bruce, but you're a psychopath." Bruce defends Khan, saying that he's not a killer, he's just a little rough. Luka says, "Bruce, this path you're on, I don't know if you'll ever understand darkness enough to see it clearly the way your friend and I do." Luka, talking to Khan, says, "It was a mistake to train you, and I can't send someone like you out into the world with everything I've taught you. You know this." Bruce, he aims his gun at Luka now, telling him, "Please, don't." Luka says he's sorry to Bruce, but this is how it has to be. He can't let Khan out of here with the knowledge he's imparted on him. Khan tells Bruce to take this shot. And Bruce, he does. Although he just shoots and hits Luka in his hand. Luka's still alive and will be fine. But Bruce, he feels terrible. Khan, though, He then shoots and kills Luka, and Bruce screams no! Khan tells Bruce he would have hunted us down. He was already going to kill me, and you shot him. Bruce yells, you didn't have to, damn it! You murdered him in cold blood. Bruce and Khan, they then have a heated argument over what just happened. They start pushing and fighting each other in the snow. Bruce asks Khan, was everything a lie? Were you really training to help people? Khan explains, I want to be the best. I want the challenge. And like I said, stopping crime is more challenging than committing it. We're learning art, Bruce. And Luka was a master painter who threw away his brushes. Bruce says Khan is insane. And Khan says back, you have no vision, Bruce. You and I could be the greatest artists alive. You're too much of a coward. Bruce and Khan, they fight some more, and in the end, Khan punches Bruce, and Bruce, he trips on a tree root, and he falls headfirst back into a tree, and it knocks him out. Khan then, with his gun, walks over to Bruce. He's pointing it at him, and he's gonna kill him. But then, he decides not to. He throws the gun away and says, it's too easy. He doesn't want to kill Bruce this way. Khan tells Bruce, goodbye, Bruce Wayne, and good luck, as he walks away. After a few hours, Bruce eventually wakes up from being knocked out, and he realizes now he is alone. Issue 7. In this issue, Bruce Wayne will learn illusions and magic from John Zatara. To the casual Batman fan, he is not typically someone we associate with magic, but that is why this issue is interesting, because Batman, he lives in the DC universe and magic does exist in this world, and he has to be ready to face whatever comes at him. So after last issue, Bruce traveled onward, and he eventually came to New York City to study under the great magician and illusionist known as John Zatara, father of Zatanna Zatara. The Wayne family and the Zatara family go way back. This is how Bruce knows John. They are old family friends. When we pick up with Bruce, we see he has already been studying under John for a while. We see he is suspended upside down in a straitjacket underwater in a tank. After 18 minutes, Bruce finally escapes the straitjacket and exits the tank. John, who is timing Bruce, comments, 18 minutes to escape a straitjacket is pretty bad timing. Bruce explains, I didn't start trying to escape until a minute ago because I wanted to try and break the record for holding your breath underwater. John and Bruce, they then head to a bar. John Zatara, ever since the loss of his wife, Cindella, has been depressed, and he is drowning his sorrows in a little bit too much alcohol. John and Bruce, they talk, and they both discuss their losses in life and Bruce's parents. Zatanna eventually arrives to the bar, and she pulls Bruce away as he promised her a night out on the town. As Bruce and Zatanna are walking around the city streets, they come across a dead body in an alleyway. The dead body belongs to an old lady, and she is flashing with red, demonic energy. Zatanna is concerned and tells Bruce they need to get back to her father. When Zatanna and Bruce arrive back at Zatanna's father's theater, they see John Zatara on stage, and he is being talked to by a demon named Shantos. John and this Shantos demon are arguing. John says to Shantos, I told you before, demon, I don't want trouble. I don't want anything. I won't be your prize. You'll have to find that elsewhere. The demon disappears when Bruce and Zatanna arrive. Bruce, he is a little bit surprised. He just saw a demon. Bruce assumes it is an illusion or trickery. Zatanna asks her father, what was that? And John answers, a lesser demon. He's been visiting lately. I knock him away, go about my life. It's nothing. Zatanna tells her dad, it's not nothing. We just saw a dead old lady who was basically flashing red with the same demonic energy. Bruce, he still thinks that that demon was an illusion of some sort. He comments, "Guys, I'm looking for wires, mirrors. Whoever that was, they couldn't have gone far." Zatara breaks the news to Bruce, saying, "Bruce, I know this is going to seem crazy, but that thing was real." John adds, "It's true, boy. There are worlds beyond this one, as real as this floor, as real as you and I." Bruce, having just learned that magic is real, asks them to teach him. Zatara tells Bruce, "Bruce, I'm sorry. Even revealing the existence of magic has put you in danger." Bruce, though, he feels if magic is real, he needs to learn it. John tells him, "Never! I've already damned my daughter to this life. I won't do it to another." Bruce, he then tells them about his secret mission and why he feels he needs to learn everything. He says, "John, I've spent the last several years traveling, learning from the greatest teachers in the world. I haven't been upfront with you, and I'm sorry, but I'm trying to be the best at everything so I can make sure no one has to suffer like I have, that no one will lose their loved ones to violence, and if they do, I'll be the justice their loved ones need. If there's even a small crack in my armor, if people out there can do a thing that I have no knowledge of, that I can't plan for, I'm done before I even begin. Please." John explains why he won't teach Bruce magic. He says, "Bruce, I love you, but do you hear yourself? That horrible drive is why I can't teach you magic. You're brilliant, but you're dark. Terrible men with great intentions have sought out magic and turned into nightmarish fascists. But beyond that, magic is about a price, Bruce. To do it costs you something. And it pains me to say it, but you have nothing else to give but that drive and darkness. I can see it. It's all you are now." In the coming days, Zatara and Bruce read more on how they can stop this Shanto's demon. They want to make sure that no one else dies at this demon's hands. Zatara is reading a book on the demon and explains, "We're dealing with a demon known as Shantos. Every 20 years, he escapes hell and feasts on the souls of the broken-hearted. This is why Shantos was attracted to John Zatara. John is depressed and broken-hearted over his dead wife, and Shantos covets feasting on that heartbreak." As Zatara is reading this, Bruce, he is practicing some magic on a coin. He's not doing an illusion, he's practicing real magic. But Bruce, he can't do the simple trick he's trying to do. Zatara tells him, "You can't just learn magic through force of will. Magic isn't just another muscle to flex." Bruce, not being used to being told he can't do something, answers, "I can do anything I put my mind to. This shouldn't be any different." Zatara tells Bruce the one thing that magic requires is surrender. And Bruce, he never surrenders, ever since he was a kid. Zatara, she moves on and says that she has enough magic for the both of them now anyway to deal with this demon. As Zatara talks further, Bruce notices an interesting book in this library called Speaking to the Dead. Bruce is curious. If he took that book and learned magic, could he speak to his parents? Later on that night, Zatara is drawing symbols all over Bruce's body. She explains, "These are the marks of Adfectus. They enhance your feelings, radiate them. The demon Shantos is attracted to the souls of the broken-hearted." And Bruce himself is still very broken-hearted over the death of his parents. So, they are going to use Bruce as bait to draw out Shantos. Once Bruce has a whole bunch of these symbols painted on his body, he begins walking about the home. And soon enough, the demon Shantos appears, and he is surrounded by fire. The demon tells Bruce, "I've never smelled such pain, such sorrow wrapped in anger. I feed on the broken-hearted. but a soul like yours with such depth of feeling will be an absolute treat. Bruce runs and the demon chases him. Bruce leads the demon right into an incantation circle that Zatara drew on the floor. Zatara, speaking backwards, casts a spell saying, "You are powerless here. You are trapped." Shantos is not contained, though. He tells them that their sigils are weak here. John Zatara then enters the room. He is going to help Bruce and Zatara battle this demon. John tells the demon, "You wanted my soul? Come take it from me." Shantos, he is even more interested in John Zatara's soul. He replies, "Yes, a mage's heartbreak is all I ever wanted." As the demon charges at John, John exclaims, "My heart may be broken, but my will to go on remains, demon. You will not be taking me today." John, he then recites a spell backwards saying, "Go back to hell." And Shantos, now standing in the middle of that incantation circle on the floor, gets sucked back into it and gets sent back to hell. Once they are all safe, John Zatara cries a bit and says, "I should have done more. People are dead, and I have been a coward hiding in a bottle," and Zatara hugs her dad and tells him, "It's okay. He's back, and it's time to heal." In the aftermath, Bruce eventually says bye to Zatara. He is done training here and is ready to move on. Before he leaves New York City, though, Bruce has one last drink with John Zatara in a bar. John tells Bruce that he is drinking ginger ale. The mentor can learn from the protege. So John Zatara, he had a kind of drinking problem, and now he is drinking ginger ale and is staying away from alcohol. This line he says about the mentor can learn from the protege is in reference to how Bruce often drinks ginger ale instead of alcohol when he goes to bars, but he keeps that on the down low so people will think he is still drinking and is getting intoxicated, but he is still really sharp and not drunk. Bruce, he gives John a book he stole from their library called Speaking with the Dead. Bruce admits that he took the book, thinking that he could work at magic and get to the point where he could use the book and maybe speak to his parents, but he couldn't do it. Bruce says that he knows if he really focused on magic, he really believes he could become a master at it, but at what price? It might take everything else he's worked so hard at. John Zatara agrees with Bruce, saying, "The cost. You're right. You'd lose all that you've been working at. Magic devours." Bruce says, "Yes, but the temptation to see my parents one more time, to hear my mother's voice, it's almost unbearable knowing they exist somewhere just out of reach." John tells Bruce, "There is a magic that has no price, Bruce. For my money, the most beautiful magic is memory. To be able to sift through your mind and pull out intangible history, to feel moments again, to hear my wife's laughter, see her smile when I close my eyes. How is that not magic? And the best part of it all is, you can share it. I have so many fond memories of your parents, Bruce. Stay a moment, away from your mission, and let's tell stories of the people who touched our lives so they'll live forever." Bruce cheers John and replies, "How can I say no? John, give me some magic and tell me about Thomas and Martha Wayne." Issue 8, the final test, begins. Bruce had many experts he trained under over the few years of his travels. He was in Shanghai, Dublin, Metropolis, Morocco. In all those instances, it seemed like Koa Khan was there before him or after him, always kind of tormenting him. In Morocco, Bruce found that his trainer there, Master Owabi, was killed by Khan eventually, as he too, like Luka Jungo, feared that Khan was a psychopath and needed to be stopped. So Khan was forced to kill Owabi in self-defense. The next expert, though, that Bruce ended up training under was a man named Dr. Daniel Captio, who resides in a very lush, secluded castle, described at being at the end of the world. Daniel is an expert at reshaping one's mind, controlling it, shutting off parts of the brain that send pain signals to your body. Daniel invites Bruce into his home. They drink tea. Daniel tells Bruce, "Your body is a weapon, but your mind is not. It is full of knowledge, but it's also full of anger and fear and compassion. And you see those as weaknesses, the crack in the armor you've been building. You don't want to simply be a knight protecting the world. You want to be a dark knight, a master of your emotions and of those around you. The fearful cannot strike fear. I can teach this. I can make you the coldest man in the world, a perfect weapon. But the question is, can you do it without losing yourself, Mr. Wayne?" Their training begins. Over the next several weeks, we see a montage of their various lessons. Daniel cuts into Bruce's body, and Bruce explains that he can convince his brain now to not feel pain. He can convince his brain to feel nothing, which is a little terrifying. After weeks of this training, Bruce, he feels he is done here and ready to move on, and he is still a little bit disturbed by this Daniel. One day, Daniel comments to Bruce, "You came to me hoping I'd help turn you into a sociopath, but you're still just the little boy who lost his parents, his heart too big for this world, full of fear, rage, and doomed love." Bruce explains he is not interested in losing his humanity. He just can't afford distractions, that's all. He can't afford... Daniel cuts him off and says, "To let him stop you? The one who walks the same path as you, but freed of your moral constraints?" Daniel is referring to Koa Khan. Bruce asks Daniel how he knows about him. Daniel explains that he gathers knowledge. Daniel shows Bruce pictures of Bruce's childhood friend, Dana Dunlop, as well as Alfred. Both of them in the pictures are dead. Bruce, he turns angry and asks, what has Daniel done? Daniel says it was not his work, though, but he knows whose work it was. At that moment, there is a bang at the door. Bruce, he goes to check it out, and he sees that Koa Khan has arrived at the castle, and he looks injured. He is bleeding. He just fought a very formidable opponent. Khan grabs onto Bruce, and he falls to the ground. Bruce thinks that Khan maybe was the one that killed Dana and Alfred in those pictures. He asks, "Did you do this? Did you kill them?" Khan tells Bruce he has to be more specific. After talking to Khan, and Khan having no idea about the deaths of Dana and Alfred, Bruce comes to believe that Khan wasn't behind it. Khan, he warns Bruce. He was just in a fight. He says, "He's out there, Bruce. He was following me city to city, setting traps. I came here to warn you. He's waiting for you out there. He's too much for you. You will need weapons." Bruce, he leaves the castle entrance and walks out into the field. It is now raining hard, and lightning is coming down from the sky. There is a person waiting for Bruce in that field. This is the person that Khan warned Bruce about. The man introduces himself. He says, finally! Bruce Wayne. My name is Harris Zuma. I'm known out in the world as The Still. I've been watching you with great interest." The two of them begin battling one another. The Still is a worthy opponent. The Still gains an advantage on Bruce and kicks him to the ground. The Still says that maybe Bruce is not ready. They fight some more. Their battle leads them to the edge of a cliff. They trade more blows. Bruce is bleeding, but he pushes onwards. The Still changes his opinion of Bruce and tells him, you're good. Their fight eventually leads to both of them falling off of the top of this cliff. As they are falling down to the rocks below, Bruce throws a grappling rope and it catches the top of the cliff, stopping his fall. Bruce also grabs the Still's leg below him and slows down the Still's fall. and then both of them, they then lower to the rocks at the bottom of the cliff. They are both now standing on some of those rocks, and the rain and the waves are crashing down on them. Bruce asks the still if he murdered Dana and Alfred. The still answers, "I've murdered many people, but none of yours. Besides, rules and laws do not apply to men like us. You are a weapon, Mr. Wayne, and I've been sent to test you." Bruce asks, "Who are you?" The still answers, "You met my disciples in the mountains of North Korea." He is referring to those 5 students in Master Kirigi's temple that Bruce and Khan had to fight. The still continues, "And you showed them what true skill was. I am the right-hand man of the one who would save the world. You and your friend are invited to be a part of that. He waits for you in the Crystal Hills of Abu Dhabi. He is Raz Al Ghul, and your training is not complete." A giant wave then comes and crashes on the still, and he is carried away into the ocean. Bruce then returns to Koa Khan and Daniel Captio, and Bruce, he figures out that the pictures Daniel showed him were faked. Alfred and Dana are still alive. Bruce asks him why. Why would he do that? Daniel answers, "I wanted to see. If you couldn't negate your feelings, could you focus them like a knife? And I suppose it turns out I was right. You're endlessly fascinating. I look forward to studying you for a long time." Bruce, angry about this, punches Daniel and knocks him out with a swift punch. Eventually, Bruce and Khan, they leave Daniel's castle together. Khan tells Bruce that Bruce is welcome for him weakening the still for him. Bruce thanks Khan for trying to warn him, but he says he can't forgive Khan for the death of their masters, referring to Luka Jungo, the Swiss mark, and Master Rawabi in Morocco. Khan explains their deaths and says, "It was self-defense, Bruce. Awabi tried to kill me, it's like Luka did. They were both killers and they died, and I wish it had gone another way." Despite their rivalry and their differences, and their waning friendship, together they decide to come together and accept the Still's invitation to meet this mysterious Raz Al Ghul. Issue 9. Bruce and Koa Khan arrive in the United Arab Emirates in Abu Dhabi after some initial investigations and a long drive in the desert where their car eventually broke down and they were forced to walk some of the way. They both finally eventually arrived at Raz Al Ghul's ostentatious headquarters. It is like a self-sustaining city. There are many men dressed as ninjas on the estate. They are members of Raz Al Ghul's League of Assassins. The Still, whom Bruce and Khan fought last issue, greets them both, and he leads them into Raz's palace. Bruce and Khan are eventually brought before Raz Al Ghul. Raz greets them, and he introduces them both to his lovely yet deadly daughter, Talia Al Ghul. In the future, Bruce Wayne and Talia will eventually have a child together named Damien. Raz leads them both into his throne room and he tells them his plans. He says, "You both wish to stop injustice, to save people, whereas I wish to save the world. What you saw out there is just the beginning. The Lazarus cities will be self-sustaining environments, transforming how people live on and consume this planet. You've seen the world, you've traveled through it, you know that it's broken. You wish to stop crime? You need to stop starvation. You need to stop greed. Lazarus will do just that. I've been watching the two of you, and you both need to think bigger. You've learned from the greatest in the world. Let me be your final master. My daughter and I will teach you absolute endurance, ancient techniques for healing the body, and how do you use your gifts to effect true change. Both Bruce and Khan accept. Ra's al Ghul smiles and says, "Excellent. We will begin instructing you tomorrow. For now, my dear, would you mind showing these gentlemen to their quarters?" We then see a montage of Bruce and Khan being trained by Raz and Talia in various fighting and healing techniques, all while the mysterious League of Assassins watch on. As part of their training, Bruce beats Talia in single combat. Raz is impressed and says, "Well done. You are almost ready." Bruce replies slightly disrespectfully, "No, I am ready." Bruce, though he knows he isn't ready, but he doesn't fully trust Ra's al Ghul, so he is pushing back on Raz a bit to see if Raz will show his true colors. Ra's al Ghul, with a sword, slashes at Bruce with it. Bruce blocks with his sword. Raz explains, "Bruce, he's looking for my reaction, for a reveal of some sort." I admire that. As they are sword battling, Ra's al Ghul tells Bruce, "I really am going to save the world, son, and I want you to join me." Raz then disarms Bruce's sword and kicks Bruce back, and then he stabs with his sword through Bruce's abdomen. Raz then tells Bruce, "But I need you to be ready. Are you ready, Bruce Wayne?" Talia offers to help heal Bruce, but Raz tells his daughter, "He has what he needs. He has my training. Let Gotham's orphan heal himself." And Bruce did heal himself with various techniques he learned, like slowing his heartbeat, and using other techniques he learned to disinfect and enhance his regeneration. Later on, Talia checks in on Bruce to see how his healing is going, and she is impressed by Bruce's medical work on himself. She comments, "I see why Father chose you now." Bruce asks her, "Chose me for what? To project manage his environmental cities? To help fund them, or to be one of his assassins?" Talia responds, "Such judgment dripping from your voice, considering you traveled with a murderer." She is referring to Khan. Bruce says that he made mistakes in his past, but deep down he's good. Talia says that Bruce is fascinating. Your focused outlook, your rebellion, tinged with compassion. So many have come to grovel at Father's feet that I think he welcomes the challenges of the young man who would dare stare him in the eye. Bruce replies, "You're wrong. To rebel means to go against authority, but no one has authority over me." Talia to this replies, "Father doesn't know what's coming, does he?" Talia then goes to kiss Bruce, but he rejects her advance on him. That night, Khan is sneaking around Ra's al Ghul's facilities, and he finds some missiles that Raz has hidden in his base. The Still then sneaks up on Khan. The two of them talk. Khan asks the Still, "What's up with the missiles? He's not here to judge. That's Bruce's thing. He's just curious." The Still answers, "It is almost dawn, in many ways. Master Al Ghul wishes to see you." Khan and Bruce are both brought in front of Ra's al Ghul. They are both dressed for combat, and in front of them is not only Raz, but also Talia and the Still. Ra's al Ghul gives a speech saying, "You have learned from thieves and killers, men and women who hide on mountaintops and in the woods. They gave you what you need, but they themselves are cowards. None of them help, none of them aid humanity, but I do." The Still then talks, and he explains that he has served Ra's al Ghul for decades as Raz's second in command, but recently he failed him, so he was sent out into the world to find his replacement, and he found Bruce and Khan. Raz says, "So, a decision must be made. Mr. Wayne defeated the Still, but only after he was weakened by Mr. Minkoa Khan. You both have the training, you both have the drive, but can you do what is needed?" Now, up to this point in this entire book, Khan was going by the fake name Anton, and Bruce never knew Anton's true name until just this moment when Ra's al Ghul finally revealed it. Ra's wants Bruce and Khan to fight each other for the right to become his new number 2, his demon's hand. Bruce refuses. He will not play this game, he says. He has nothing to prove to anyone. Khan, though, does not feel the same way. Khan holds his sword up to Bruce and tells him, "Sorry, Bruce, but this is the future, and I'm going to help usher it in, even if it means I have to put this sword into you." Khan swings at Bruce. Bruce dodges the sword swing and prepares to fight back. And Bruce, he states, "Go ahead and try." Issue 10, the conclusion of Batman the Knight. Now that we are heading into the final issue of this book, I thought it would be interesting to go over all the experts that Bruce trained under in this story. So, in issue 2, it was mentioned that Bruce trained under the world's best fencer. Then, he trained under Lucie Chesson, aka the Grey Shadow, and he learned thieving. And then in issue 3, he trained under Henri Ducard and he learned detective skills. Issue 4, under Master Takibi Kirigi, he learned fighting and death. Issue 5, Avery Oblonsky taught him espionage. Issue 6, Luka Jungo, the Swiss Mark, taught him hunting, shooting, and marksmanship. Issue 6, it was also mentioned that Bruce trained under a Mongolian pastoralist and learned how to read the environment and nature. Issue 7, Bruce studied under John Zatara and learned magic. Issue 8, Bruce trained under someone named Sky Spider. I have no idea what he learned though. Also in issue 8, briefly seen is Tommy Tyvan. Bruce learned knife throwing from him. Also mentioned was someone in Metropolis, as well as Master Awabi in Morocco. Master Awabi was the one that Khan ended up killing. In issue 8, Dr. Daniel Captio taught Bruce how to control the mind and pain. And in issue 9, from Ra's al Ghul, Bruce learned ancient endurance and healing techniques. I'm sure even beyond this, Bruce trained with other masters, but these are the main ones mentioned. Bruce and Khan are now having their sword fight in front of Ra's al Ghul, who is watching in delight. Bruce and Khan, they eventually toss their swords away, and they will end this fight with their hands. Eventually, after tussling some more, Bruce gains the advantage. He puts Khan into a headlock, and as Bruce is choking Khan out, Khan whispers to Bruce, "He has missiles," referring to Ra's al Ghul's secret missiles. Bruce makes Khan pass out though, and Bruce is declared the winner. Ra's al Ghul tells the Still, his old number 2, that he can leave now, and that he should take Khan with him. Ra's al Ghul then, who refers to himself as the Demon's Head, he turns to Bruce and tells him, "And this young man does not strike me as a demon's hand. No, you're more than that, aren't you, Mr. Wayne? Going forward, the world will know you as the Demon's Heart." Over the next few days, Bruce, he is given a ceremonial warrior outfit and he continues exploring around the complex, sort of embracing his new position. Meanwhile, the Still travels with Khan on horseback outside of Raz's complex and Lazarus City. The Still then points Khan on a path to the nearest city. The Still says he intends to spend a little bit more time in the desert, reflecting. Khan is still angry though about Bruce beating him, and he tells the Still, "Reflecting is for losers, for people focused on the past. You're better than that. I'm definitely better than that. I don't accept this loss. It's an insult." The Still tells Khan, "There is honor in defeat. You have to work harder to find it. Believe me, son, sit with it. you let your mind and soul digest loss. Then this will make you stronger. Goodbye, Minkoa. Good luck to you. Back at Raz's complex, him and Bruce are still training. Eventually, Raz shows Bruce his missiles, the ones that Khan warned Bruce about earlier. Raz explains his master plan to save the world. His Lazarus cities will astound and usher in a new way for mankind. Ecological, self-sustaining cities. Raz tells Bruce, though, the world revolves around money. Corporations rely on consumption. They won't accept my offering of nirvana, as that cuts into those ties. You've wondered why I train killers, why I train myself when I'm simply looking to make peace in the world? It's because the world needs to be forced into peace. It's the eternal paradox of this planet. The biblical Lazarus rose from the dead, Mr. Wayne. There was no miracle without the death that preceded it. Raz, he plans to use these missiles here to destroy the world and kill millions. But out of the ashes of that world, he can reshape it and rebuild it better. Raz asks, "Do you know what I am saying, Bruce?" And Bruce answers, "I do. And I am here to stop you." Bruce, he has a detonator in his hands, and he uses the detonator to blow up the missiles. See, the truth is, when Bruce learned from Khan earlier about Raz having missiles, he spent the last few nights sneaking around the compound after dark and planting explosives in order to blow them up. Raz is angry. He yells, "No! You insolent! Who do you think you are?" Bruce answers, "I'm the son of a doctor. I save lives. I don't take them." Raz tells him, "You're dooming the planet." Ra's al Ghul's complex is burning to the ground, and Bruce and Raz are fighting through all the wreckage. The fighting goes through various rooms. Ra's al Ghul is a very good fighter, a master of tons of ancient fighting styles, but Bruce's training is better, and if Bruce eventually wins their combat, and Raz, realizing that he is defeated, says, "You're a fool. Killing me will doom the world." Bruce replies, "I won't kill you, Raz. You can live to watch me stop men like you to make things right. You can still help the world, rebuild, work with people instead of lording over them like some sort of god." Bruce, even though he is victorious in this moment, he then gets stabbed in the back with a sword by Talia al Ghul, who snuck up behind him. Talia tells Bruce, "You are never the demon's heart, little boy. I am." Bruce, stabbed, then falls to the ground outside of this window in the building they are in, and he tumbles down below, and Talia goes to aid her father. Bruce, he would have died here in this building, bleeding out on the floor in this burning complex, but Koa Khan came back to help him. Khan helps Bruce get out of there. Eventually, they made their way to the desert and they were safe, away from Ra's al Ghul's burning complex. The two of them then talk. Bruce asks, why did Khan save him? And Khan admits, "You won. You beat me fair and square in a fight, and took the thing I wanted. No one's ever done that to me before. I could kill you now, put a dagger through your bleeding heart. It would be so easy, but I didn't set out on this path because it's easy. Crawl back to Gotham. Crawl back with your small mind and your tiny outlook. I'll bring justice to the world, and then we'll see who bests who. And then when I'm done with the world," Bruce warns him, if you step foot in Gotham, I'll stop you." Khan, he just laughs and says, "You know the real reason I let you live, Bruce? It's no fun if you die." Khan then rides off on his horse, leaving Bruce behind. Him and Bruce would not see each other again for many years. Finally, Bruce, done his training, returned to Gotham City, and he returned to Wayne Manor and to Alfred. Alfred gives Bruce a big hug. Bruce, tells Alfred everything about his adventures these past few years, about Lucie and Ducard and North Korea and Raz Al Ghul and Minkoa Khan and everything. Bruce, he asks about his school friend, Dana Dunlop, the one that he was worried died earlier. Alfred says that she moved to Metropolis and is engaged to a firefighter. She is working for a startup called LexCorp. The next morning, Alfred comes to bring Bruce breakfast in bed, but Bruce, he is already up and about and elsewhere. Bruce, he narrates, "Before I left, Dana told me to think bigger. She was right, but thinking bigger turns men into monsters like Raz Al Ghul. It all starts now, no turning back. I have to consider, to plan, to not just think bigger, but to think deeper. Go into those depths and see what comes out." We see on Wayne Manor, Bruce has descended and discovered what he will one day make into the Batcave. And with that, we end Batman the Night.
Alright, so that was Batman the Night. I really want to hear some of your opinions on what you thought of this different version of Batman's origin, so please comment away in the comments. But let me go through my thoughts. Now, I thought this book was really fun. The artwork was great. I really enjoyed learning more of Batman's training years and the various experts he trained under. That was all such fun. My favorite experts he trained under was Master Kirigi in North Korea. Just the concept of this deadly ninja school in the mountains of North Korea was awesome. I also really enjoyed the John Zatara magic story arc. I thought that was really interesting to add here. Of course, Batman would need to learn a little bit about magic, so that was really fun. Now, controversially, Minkoa Khan, Ghostmaker, is someone I am still a little bit hesitant on. He is not a legacy Batman villain. He's not Riddler, Joker, or Penguin or something, so he's someone that I'm still not fully sold on. And my brain is having a little bit of a hard time accepting him now being part of Batman's origin. Because in my head, I've always kind of visualized what Batman's training years would be like and all these experts he trained under. And now I'm being forced to think, oh yeah, and this Minkoa Khan guy, he was there the whole time training with Bruce. And he's also a vigilante. And he's also out there in the world. Okay, that's a little hard for me to accept, you know. But I'm trying to accept it. I'm trying to buy into it. And I've read some of the future Batman stories that are out now, and where Minkoa Khan is showing up again and Ghostmaker is there. And there is some interesting stuff to be explored with this whole concept of this guy that was there during Bruce Wayne's training years. So I'm trying to enjoy it. I'm trying to buy into it, but I'm still a little hesitant on it. But still, I still really loved this Batman the Night book. It is now the canon for Batman's training years and his origin stuff. So I think it was a really fascinating read, and I had a really fun time going through it. So I'm going to give this one an 8.5 out of 10. Thank you all for watching, and let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I will be back next week with a new book.